Who has been physically, verbally, or sexually assaulted by a client in their home? Show of hands. Okay. Who has been physically assaulted in a home by a client? Show of hands. Okay, and now the tough one. Who's been sexually assaulted in a home by a client?
When we're a PSW, that's what we do. We sometimes we just stuff it down and keep going. You know?
Really? Is that what most of you do? You don't report it?
No, a lot of times.
We also don't want to be in the stigma of who would accuse an elderly person? Why would you put an elderly person through that?
But you're going into a home, and if you're the one who's at risk,
But
The
the
family
general
have-
population
yeah.
doesn't look at it that way.
they're very
They don't
different.
believe
Believe
coming
us.
after a senior.
And they're very different around their family
Very different.
than they are around us.
yeah.
They're two different people.
But let's talk a bit more about that. Nobody wants to believe that this could happen because they tend to believe the senior, they tend to believe the client.
Yeah.
Why is that?
A frail individual?
Yeah.
Who are you going to trust?
Right.
They're
So
part
they
of that
feel that
sector.
you guys are culpable.
That we should be the responsible and accountable ones, and if something doesn't go the way it's supposed to, chances are the onus is gonna be on us.
Right.
We should have known how to prevent it.
Yeah.
It's up to us as the PSW, the caregiver, the frontline worker. It's
Yep.
up to us to make sure that these situations don't happen. But 90% of the time, they're out of our hands.
All right, let's talk about that. What kind of training have you had in order to prepare you for a possible sexual assault?
None really.
Nothing.
Not really.
Never had
There's-
any training.
They have like nonviolent crisis intervention, but that's more for physical. So if you're
Yeah.
coming out to punch me, I know how to
Yeah.
project that to put you in a safe spot where you're not going to hurt me.
So you have had that kind of
Yeah.
training.
Yeah,
So
that's part
it
of
is
the
available.
schooling.
show us,
but-
give us an example of what that would be. I mean, you just told me a little bit, but tell me
Yeah,
more.
but it's basically like you grab the arm and position them down so that everything that they have cannot come back at you.
But you'll go back
One of
and,
the biggest parts of our job is making excuses for why our clients do it.
so you'd go back into a situation where you were sexually, verbally, or
I would.
physically abused?
Somebody has to. Each one is different on its own merit.
Right.
But when you care for people, generally care for people, you will do a lot more than the boundaries asking for within reason. Because you care, your passion's there.
All of us do as a community of a situation where governments are saying, we want to try to keep seniors at home. Long-term care isn't necessarily perfect for everyone, and there might not necessarily be enough beds for everyone. So it sounds great on the surface, right? Is it the best scenario? Is it what government should be doing right now? Should that be the focus? Home care?
If they took control of the situation and really knew what they were doing themselves, but right now, it's a mess.
So physical, verbal, possibly sexual abuse is part of the job. It's part of your job.
And more.
Is it more dangerous for a PSW to go into someone's home than it is to work in long-term care?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say no. I'm someone who works in both, and I'm going to say no to that.
Okay.
Because I deal with so much more verbal abuse from families when I'm at my long-term care job. The families are easier to deal with in home care than they are in long-term care. When the family, that's why I'm an advocate for home care. When the family ends up having to put their parent or grandparent into long-term care, they then take it out on us because now they're so upset that they couldn't do it. But when that person gets to stay at home and keep their dignity, keep their house, keep their life, the family treats you so much better because you're helping keep their parent or grandparent at home. Home care is fabulous. The problem with home care is that anyone can work in home care, and they need training. Every single one of us that walks into somebody's house should be a certified PSW, and we should have someone taking care of us. Not just our agencies, we need someone taking care of us. We need someone out there that we can say, okay, this is happening on a daily basis, and it shouldn't be.
The
So
agencies
who-
take
who
care
sh-
of themselves.
Yeah.
If the agencies, as you say, are taking care of themselves and not you,
Mm-hmm.
who should be looking after your needs? And who should be looking after the client needs as well, too? Because it's a two-way street, isn't it? We hear
It
stories
sure
of
is.
PSWs assaulting
yeah.
clients
Oh,
as well.
for sure.
We're here with OPSWA today, so most of us, or at least all of us, I'm assuming. It's great to be a part of
OPSWA
it.
needs to take care of
We need to be
us.
a part of this body, and the
Yeah.
reason
Part of
being
an
is,
organization
I'm
that can
accountable.
represent
I
you.
choose to be accountable, so again, boundaries. I go out and I made sure I have my liability, I have a back check, I have whatever certificates I need to do to deal with a specific client at any time. If it's falls prevention, or if there's things that I should learn about Parkinson's that I need to know more about. And it's great. Everything's there for me. I have nothing to hide from a potential client, ever. And I
But
should
we're
never
also
have to be
responsible
that.
for all of
But
that
we
on our
choose.
own.
We
Right.
choose, but it's not
All
straight
of our- on our
across the
own.
board.
Okay,
Yeah.
Lynn, go ahead.
It's our responsibility to do all of it on our own as well in home care. Our agencies, depending on the agency, some of them will offer courses. Some will. 9 times out of 10, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So where's their accountability to us? There isn't any.
That's where they play on our heartstrings.
Absolutely.
They know these
They know
these
that we'll do it.
particular homes, or not homes, sorry, but like home care agencies, even long-term care. They know how to work us because they know that we care. They know that we respect these folks so much that we're willing to go above and beyond and, you know, bend backwards for them. And if that means that we walk away with hurt feelings at the end of the day, but that person's been cared for, guess that's what that means. So be it.
I'm sorry to hear all of this that's going on, and I think companies then need to listen to the concerns of their workers. I know I'm listened to when I report anything that's out of the ordinary, and we've even had client that's been, you know, that it's not just the matter of the money. They've put them on hold and said, until this can be cleared up and there's different behavior or family involvement, then the PSW doesn't have to go back in there.
So you're lucky to the fact
So,
is that your company that you're working for presently is doing their due diligence to keep you safe.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised to
But
hear
are the
that.
majority doing it?
Clearly not.
They should be
No.
then, yeah.
Some are
There
not.
are companies out there, and there are companies that will have your back and do have the education and do keep up with the training. I happen to work for one of them. And they, for most of it, they do have your back. But there are some companies, obviously a little too often, too many companies that don't do their end of our jobs.
Holly,
Yes.
leaving you for last,
Gee, thanks.
because you're wearing two hats. You know,
Right.
As the owner of an agency and as a PSW.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
So-
I'm the Minister of Health. What do you want me to change?
An employer of PSWs and a working PSW, because I work the clients too within the agency. We both need to be accountable. So the agency, the private agency, or any of the agencies should be made accountable also. So if you've hired one of my staff to take care of your dad, what you need is to make sure that that person is credible, works a business, has the right education, has a proper back and police check, not just a local one, but one that goes across Canada. Because you can find out things from across
So
Canada.
you're talking about better regulations,
Better
line,
regulation,
right?
bottom
Police
line.
checks,
Yeah,
specific criteria in order to actually operate and run
an agency.
an agency.
That's right. So I come in with my credentials and I give them to you. They go, great. I've got to make sure that the girls that are going to be working with your dad are going to be accountable for whatever they do for you. So the unfortunate thing is, the fortunate thing is at this point in time is there is people out there that can make us accountable, but do they understand about the client and what their family is going through and the individual that we're taking care of? Do they understand what it's like to be a personal support worker? Have they actually done the job? Do they understand what we're feeling? Do they understand that we have a heart, we care, we love our clients, we have boundaries that we have to be careful about? If we have an issue, who are we to call? My staff can call me. Who can I call? Right now? I have someone I can call. 4 years ago, I wouldn't have had someone to call.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from all of you is you want better government accountability in terms of the agencies reporting to the government legislating certain criteria in order to have an agency operate as an agency. Better training for PSWs, obviously better salaries, that comes hand in hand. But police checks, not only of PSWs, but of the clients as well. So you know,
Absolutely.